Hi everybody, and welcome to Lost Genre Reddit Stories. In this video, I've got a post for you from the subreddit Relationship Advice with an update that I believe will pull on your heartstrings. Then, we're gonna move on to a fantastic petty revenge to lighten things up. So, like always, if you just want to navigate through the different parts of the video, you can use the timestamps right below it. Now, let's get started with the first story. This post is from the subreddit Relationship Advice, and it's by user ThrowArray Thinking Leave. Thinking if I, 36 male, should leave my wife, 36 female, because she openly resents our son, 7. Neither of us were sure about having kids. We were married 5 years before finding out she was pregnant. Both nervous as hell, but in the end, she wanted to try having the baby and I agreed. It was hard at first. Parenthood is in general, but I love my son. He's wonderful, smart, energetic, and warms my heart. My wife, for the most part, was great with him. Occasionally, we both would get burnt out and find some time to have date nights or individual free time. Over a year ago, before lockdown, my wife started becoming very irritated over anything he'd do. Accidentally spill a little apple juice on the counter, she'd yell at him like if he'd just destroyed a family heirloom. It was something that happened every now and then, but we'd talk about it and she would apologize to him. Pandemic was really rough. We both had our jobs, just were working from home, and our son wasn't in school. At first I thought the frustration came from being cooped up at home and not being able to go out. My son's been going to school again for months, and we're all back to going out. Things haven't improved. Finally had a sit down with my wife because no matter what mood she's in, she could be happy and smiling, but when my son comes in, her mood shifts. And I notice it more now. My wife has told me that for the longest time, she's resented having our son. Motherhood isn't what she thought it was going to be and missed it only being the two of us. She didn't expect her life to be this way with a child, and she regrets having him at all. It was a hard conversation to have, but one we really needed to have. I've talked to her about getting therapy, individual, couples, or both, whatever it takes. She's refused because she claims she doesn't need help. We have tried going on more date nights, being a couple if she feels like we're not getting enough of that. Have her spend some more one-on-one time with him, which she doesn't want to do. It doesn't matter. As soon as we get home and in our son's presence, she's more serious. I asked her once, does she love him? My wife says that she does. She just doesn't like him. That was painful. I want to work on this with her, get therapy. She doesn't want to. What's pushing me to want to leave is because my son is starting to pick up on this. No 7-year-old kid should be asking why mom's always mad at him. I love my wife, but I'm scared of him growing up with someone who doesn't like him. Is this really it? Is the next best thing to leave, or is there any way to get her to understand I can't have our son living like this? Wow, OP, this is a very tough situation. And I think you're absolutely right. It's not fair to him to grow up with somebody that feels this way about him. That they say they love him, but can't stand him. I really don't know how that works. Where I see the big problem is where your wife just doesn't want to change anything, so she's just willing to keep being mean to this kid because she resents him. And that's why I think she says she doesn't need any help, because she doesn't see that she needs to change or adjust anything, which in my opinion is a very selfish stand to take. Now, I'm not saying that I don't understand where she's coming from. She was child-free before all of this and so were you. But life happened and you guys had a kid and now you need to deal with it. So unless something drastically changes with your wife or something else gives, I believe that the only solution is for you to remove your son from this environment. It is absolutely sad, but your heart is in the right place. You need to choose what's best for the child. And what do you guys think? What would you do if you were in OP's shoes? Let me know in the comment section, and now let's move on to the community comments to see what they had to say. Hella High at Hogwarts says, I grew up with a mother who loved me but didn't like me. She effed me up so hardcore. I'd let your wife know that if she isn't in therapy and making progress immediately, you'll be all done. your kiddo comes first. And OP responds, I am very sorry about your mother. That's exactly what I want to avoid with my son. He doesn't deserve any of this. I really hope another talk, this time with the mention of divorce, if nothing improves, will get her to understand how serious I am this time. Feeling Elk 7433 says, your wife absolutely needs therapy. It sounds like she's in a very toxic place and taking out her frustration on your son. If she isn't willing to get the help she needs, you need to protect your son and leave. He's the innocent one in all of this, and even if he's not showing it yet, this could create all kinds of trauma for him. I can't imagine that kind of rejection. And OP responds, that's my main concern too. I don't want this impacting him in a negative way, and can't play peacemaker every time she gets mad at him over any little thing or just doesn't interact with him as much. All this time I had hoped things would improve, and sadly, that hasn't been the case. The last Bussalope says, this is really it. You cannot make your son continue to live with a person who actively and blatantly dislikes him and finds fault with everything he does. You have to put his needs first, and that means getting him away from his mother at least most of the time. Maybe if she only has minimal custody or visitation, they can build a better relationship. But if she continues treating him badly when it's her custody time, you will need to address that too. OP's additional context. She misses when we could go out regularly without thinking about childcare. The fact that we had alone time every evening after work. Basically, the free time we used to have to do whatever we wanted. And she's tired of the baseball games, school events, helping with homework, all the kids' shows on TV, etc. It was a lot that she said she was fed up with. The thing is that we talked about it extensively once we found out she was pregnant. She says that at the time she thought she'd be able to handle the sacrifices. I started noticing this behavior before COVID lockdown. It just became more apparent when we were spending more time together. That is why I had hoped all the frustration was from being cooped up 24/7 and the emotional toll COVID took on all of us. But like I said, things haven't gotten better. Maybe part of me has wanted to be in denial about all this, but I can't keep putting our son through this. I've felt this ache in me for some time that hasn't gone away. I wish it didn't have to be this way, that she would feel this way about him. God knows it's hard as a parent, but my heart literally beats for him. And I love her with all my heart, but I know the way forward. Maybe just needed to hear it from someone else other than myself. I don't want him to suffer any more than he already has. Can't keep doing that to him. So the community definitely agrees that OP has to do better by his son, and if that means leaving his wife, then that has to happen. I also did find a little bit of additional context that I included in this part because it wasn't that much, so I hope you guys now have a full picture of what's going on. And now we can move on with the update. Well, it's been a hard few days, but it happened. Didn't want it to, but it needed to. I took my son out of there. Trying to talk with my wife about this a couple of days after posting this got us nowhere. Even if therapy wasn't going to be the miracle that makes her want to be a mother to our son, I told her it wouldn't hurt to have somewhere to talk about her feelings. Get to the core of why she feels this way, and if maybe there's a way to work on it so that it wouldn't have a deep impact on how she is with him. She refused, and I asked her, does she ever think it'll get better? As in, does my wife believe she could see herself caring for him and being what he needs at all in the future? The answer wasn't going to determine if I left or not, but that's something I just wanted to know for myself. She said no. When I told her that it's not going to work out between us because his well-being comes first, she begged me to stay. All these promises of not treating him negatively and putting on a face for him, but still will not do therapy at all because she doesn't need help. Then, all of a sudden, she gets angry and tells me to get out then if I only just want to be with my son. It was heartbreaking. We ended up leaving since she didn't want to leave the apartment. He was still half asleep when we left, so all I've told him so far is we're just taking a short vacation. He believes it since we're staying at a hotel for now, but he does keep asking about her. I sent her a text that night after we checked into the hotel to let her know. Also, so there's physical proof that she was aware and that I didn't just take him. Her response? Whatever, I don't care, leave me alone. I'm trying my best to keep it together for him. My heart is still broken though. I hate that it had to end like this, but many of you were right, and I know this too. He had to come first, and this was already messing him up. I know it was the right choice. Feels like my life just came to a hard stop, and I'm just trying to get my bearings still. I'm going to need help with all the messiness that's happened so far and more to come. Also, because I have absolutely no idea how I'm going to break any of this news to him. She hasn't contacted me since we left. My family is aware of what's happening though, so I'm glad to have their support. However, the financial aspect is not something I'm concerned about. I make more than enough to afford us to live on our own, and we have a prenup in case she does decide to get vicious. My sister offered to have my son spend the weekend with them so he could be with his cousins. Since he's not here right now, I decided to use some of my free time to type this up. Thank you for being the push I needed to do something. Deep down, I know it was what needed to be done. Guess it just needed it to be said. Well, OP, of course it's a sad outcome, but it is what had to happen. Like I said before, your heart is in absolutely the right place. Your son comes first. Hopefully you'll be able to get the help you need to get through the pain, and also the help you need to navigate this new part of life with your son. All the best for the both of you, OP. Take care. And now we move on to the next post. This post is from the subreddit Petty Revenge, and it's by user THC16. I experienced something awesome very early on in my customer service career, and I'm so sad because I'm pretty sure that I have a better chance of winning the lottery than of having anything like this happening again. It honestly felt like something out of a movie. Shortly after graduating from high school, I got a job working as a waitress at a local restaurant. It was a pretty popular place, but really boomed during the holiday season. A few days before Christmas, a woman came in wanting to pay for and pick up a phone order. Now, to be clear, there were 7 pages of takeout orders. Each page had about 10 to 13 orders. I asked for the name on the order, and she gives me 3. Saying that she isn't sure who placed the order and she's just in charge of picking it up. I look through each page and find a few matches. None are in the correct order though. As I reach the last page, I tell her that we don't have any more orders with those names and ask if there is another that it might be under. At this point, she is visibly annoyed and gives me another 2 that it might be under. I scroll back to the first page and start searching again. I find another match, but again it is in the wrong order. Now she is actually angry. The conversation goes something like this. Side note, as usual when I'm reading out a dialogue, I'm just gonna make up 2 voices instead of saying I said, they said. Now let's move on. I'm sorry, we don't have any more matches for those names. Well, it's got to be one of them. I don't know why this is so hard for you. Maybe it would be easier to search for the order itself. What exactly are you picking up? How am I supposed to know that? I didn't place the order. It's your job to check me out and just get it to me. Why is this so hard for you? Well, unless there is another name to search for, I'm not sure what else I can do for you. There were about 75 orders placed for this weekend, and I don't have any other way to know which is yours. Are you effing kidding me? It shouldn't be this complicated. Are you stupid or something? You are working a register. It cannot be that hard. Okay, how about I read the names of each order and you let me know when something sounds familiar. We can go through each order that way. Effing fine. If that's what you have to do your job, then just waste my goddamn time, I guess. Then she muttered something under her breath, which I didn't quite catch. She definitely used the R word, though. I get about halfway through the first page. Company X? Yes, that's it. I smile wide, a genuine and true smile ear to ear. Oh, do you work at Company X? Not that it's any of your business, but yes. Now hurry up. This has taken way longer than it should have. Is it even ready yet? Do you know the owner, Mr. X? Yes, he is the one who organized the party. Why? That's my dad, smiling even wider than I thought possible. I have to tell him about this. What a small world. The color is visibly draining from her face. Yep, my dad. Who would have known? I'm actually going on my 30 when I'm done here. I'll have to give him a call. I'm sure he'll love to hear all about this. Before she had a chance to respond, I turned around to grab her food. I spent the rest of that transaction just positively glowing, basking in her silent panic before saying, "Goodbye, have a wonderful day. I'll be sure to tell my dad that you said hi. It was beautiful." I told my dad about it, and he was absolutely livid. Mostly about the fact that she would dare to speak to someone in that way, while actively representing the company. He didn't fire her, but she was given a severe warning and was put onto probation. She didn't last long though. Less than 2 weeks later, she lost the company a pretty big client by responding very rudely via email. Honestly, I may be biased, but I think that the company is better off without her. Wow, OP, imagine that. It must have been fantastic. Awesome petty revenge, OP. Well done. Thanks for sharing. And it's that time that we've reached the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed today's stories. I certainly did reading them to you. So if you did, then go ahead and give the video a like, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel and become a member of our Discord community that just keeps growing, and it is fantastic. And like I said in the beginning of the video, all of the relevant links are in the video description below, so be sure to check them out. And finally, I'd like to thank you all for taking the time to watch this video. It really does mean a lot to me that you guys enjoy this content, so thank you once again. And having said all that, I will see you guys in the next video.